Hello and welcome to our tutorial. My name is Mike. I am the owner and founder of Windows7Forums.com, and today we will be discussing how to do a clean install of Windows 7. In this presentation we will be using Windows 7 Ultimate Edition as our software installation, and what we will do is install the installation media into our CD-ROM drive. And from there we will boot from CD. As you can see, that is already occurring. What's happening now is we are choosing our language, which is English, in this case United States. We are hitting next, and we are installing now. Setup is starting. The installation of Windows 7 is very easy. We agree to the end user license agreement for Windows 7, and instead of performing an upgrade, which is impossible from booting, we will actually go ahead and do a clean install using unallocated disk space. And we don't have to worry about any file formatting or partitioning. On a clean drive, Windows will handle everything. Windows will also begin the copying of files to begin the installation. It's very important to note that when you do install Windows 7 under a clean install scenario, you are losing all of the files that may have existed either on Windows XP or on Windows Vista. Furthermore, in order to boot from the Windows 7 DVD media, you will need to change the option in your BIOS to boot from DVD, or you will need to hit F12 while booting your computer in order to access the boot menu to boot from CD or DVD removable device. This can very easily be covered in another tutorial. Nonetheless, Windows here has finished copying the files over to the drive and is now expanding those files. Those files are actually basically encrypted, not really encrypted, but compressed into CAB files, and they are now being expanded so that the installation can take place. As this process can take anywhere from 20 minutes to 2 hours depending on the hardware you're using, we're pretty much going to cut to the chase very shortly to show you exactly what will happen during the installation. This is pretty much standard procedure for a Windows 7 clean install, and we'll go through the parts as they come. Here we are at 98% now. And we're just waiting to hit that 100% mark. And there we go. Windows will now start installing features and updates, and will begin to complete the installation by configuring different parts of your operating system that are necessary for you to configure your first user account. It will also create an administrator account just like in Windows Vista and Windows XP. After this step takes place, Windows will need to restart the computer to continue. What you need to make sure of is that Windows doesn't boot from the DVD media again. So one way to do this right now while it's restarting is to pull the DVD media out by ejecting the DVD. As you can see, Windows will start, and we'll get the nice new installation screen or start screen here, which looks pretty cool compared to the Windows Vista screen, which had no logo. and the Windows XP screen, which was really a big giant pixelated picture. It's important to note that Windows will be a little bit slow to start since it's still configuring at this point and installing. Here you see that setup is updating the registry settings. As a matter of fact, it's in the process of pretty much creating the registry for you and setting up Windows so that you can use your computer for the first time. When Windows initially installed, it pretty much took a snapshot there of your entire system, all of the devices it could detect, all of the device drivers in its library, and it is now applying those detections here into the registry and basically registering the hardware on your computer. As we see, it moved a little bit. That usually doesn't happen, um, but for some reason in this demonstration it did. All right, and now we've made it. Windows is now starting services. Services are the backbone of Windows. They control pretty much everything from the user interface to the sound system to the background intelligence service to anything you can imagine. Services pretty much are what power the Windows backend, and they've actually been quite recoded in Windows 7, enhanced and improved upon quite greatly. And here we come back again to completing the installation. So you see that we are not done just yet, but we're getting pretty close. Okay, and now we restart the computer one more time. As you can see, we're using VMware, which is a virtual service. It's a virtualization solution, which allows us to create this demo. As you see, we're starting Windows again here. You may find it starts a little bit quicker now. Okay. Now, you've successfully, once you pass the screen, you have successfully completed the initial installation of Windows 7. And we will go through setting up all of the additional options in our next stage, which is part 2 of this demonstration here. Please stay tuned, and we will go through the configuration stage. You are now experiencing section 2 of how to do a clean install of Windows 7 from Windows7Forums.com. As you can see, this setup is now preparing your computer for the first time use. So far we've covered several issues which include the initial setup, putting in the DVD media, running through the formatting of the hard drive, and allowing the installation to begin. Now what is happening is setup is checking up on your system, checking the video performance, assessing what your computer is capable of doing, and we'll begin the process of configuring Windows 7 for the first time. Okay, as you can see here, we see something that shouldn't be too unusual. We get to enter our username. And what we'll do here for now, very quickly, as we'll enter a pretty much generic username, user, and the computer name will be called user-pc, which you can always customize. We'll also enter a password now for your account, which you absolutely should do. It's absolutely recommended. We recommend you use a strong password, which has uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and letters. And for this demonstration, we'll enter something pretty basic here. Nice little password. And we will also definitely put a hint for our password. And we'll put the hint as the name of our dog. Make sure you use a strong password. It's very important, and it's something that most people don't even bother with, but it really will help you in the long term. The account that you've created is actually an administrator account itself, but it's not the administrator account. And the reason we don't use the account named administrator in Windows is because the SID, the security identifier, is not exactly unique. There are portions that can be used against you, so that administrator account is a fail-safe account that's disabled by default in Windows. So we always create our separate user account, which is an administrative account. The creation of the computer name, and the password are all very important steps in the setup of Windows. And what you should really make sure about with the computer name is that it's a unique computer name. You should always make sure that there are no other computer names that are being used on your network that are duplicates. And you should make it something that's easily identifiable for you so that you always know what that computer is on your network. And here we'll just step up to next. And for the product key, we're just going to skip this portion. Obviously, we're not going to give out a Windows product key on this demo. And we'll go, how will we protect our computer? Well, we'll use the recommended settings, which most people didn't do in Windows XP. And we'll go to Eastern Time, change our time zone here. Here's where you get to change the time. And the computer's current location is a home network. What this actually does is determine how the firewall will act, and how the sharing of different network shares will be applied with the network. You'll usually only see this screen if you actually have a network connection. Now here you have home groups, and we'll just skip this portion. Your computer can still function as part of a work group, and there really is very little reason for you to create a home group off the bat. We may do a demonstration on how to set up a home group at a later time. A home group is basically a work group that's password protected and has a couple more features added to it. And here you can see Windows is finalizing the settings. And welcome! It looks like we've had some success here in our setup. Now, something that you may want to know, since you have done a clean install of Windows, you're now starting completely from scratch. And what you need to know is that there are certain device drivers that you may need for your hardware. If you have an AMD or NVIDIA graphics card, you want to go to the AMD or NVIDIA website and download the proper drivers for your graphics card. You'll immediately want to do a Windows update of your system, which we can cover later, because there are quite a few reliability and stability updates as well as security updates. You'll also want to go ahead and look into Intel chipset drivers, which may be available for your platform. Intel Corporation develops motherboards. If you have an Intel processor, what you need to do is go ahead and look for those drivers. If you have a commercial computer from Dell or Hewlett Packard, Gateway, any of those major computer manufacturers, you can usually go to their support website and they're pretty good with their driver support. They usually have up-to-date drivers. But in the event that they don't, you can go directly to the source, and those sources would be Intel, Microsoft Windows Update, NVIDIA, and AMD. And here you have the Windows desktop for the first time. As you can see, we don't have the Aero interface active. And the reason for that is because we don't have the proper video drivers installed. In this specific instance, we're running a virtualized machine. It's actually a virtual machine that requires specific drivers for the operating system to run Windows Aero and to use and utilize all of the possibilities with Windows. But there you have it. The installation is complete, and all you need now are drivers. Right now you're operating under Microsoft Windows compatibility drivers, which will get the job done for basic web surfing and email. But in many cases you'll want to look up custom network drivers, custom video card drivers, custom chipset drivers, and all the drivers that you need for your computer to work properly. Thanks a lot for checking this video out, and I certainly hope you'll visit us at windows7forums.com, where we have loads and loads of information for you in the event that you're having problems with your Windows 7 operating system or even Windows Vista. Come check us out, and thanks a lot for taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully it'll be helpful for you if you're planning on doing a clean install. Take care.